When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. We're going to continue where we last left off between the fight between Doomsday and the Void Juggernaut unit, the mechanical battle android. Will the Juggernaut Void unit match the challenge? That is Doomsday, or will Izumi have to finally enter the fray herself? We're going to find out right now. After the Juggernaut unit landed a uppercut on Doomsday, the android immediately jumped backwards to get some distance. Without warning, the Juggernaut unit blasts forward, shattering the pavement underneath his feet, making a trail of destruction towards Doomsday as they both charge each other, as they unleash a powerful strike, as their physical strength, they would collide each other with their fists, making shockwaves appear destruction in their wake as cars go flying into the air from the wind pressure alone. The three Kryptonians turn their attention towards the young girl that has a smile on her face, while staring down on some sort of tablet as she's going through the data that she's collecting from this fight. What are you doing, if you don't mind me asking, Izumi? Oh, Supergirl, I was going over the current data that I'm getting from my creation fighting this Doomsday creature. I'm getting some valuable information from it. For that brief After the brief explanation, what Izumi's doing, they turned their attention towards the fight as Doomsday and the fight as Doomsday is continuing. Sorry, I fucked that up. Start again. Everyone put their attention back towards the fight as Doomsday and the battle android land a strike across each other's face as the Void Juggernaut unit goes sliding backwards alongside with Doomsday. Izumi calmly put the tablet back into her bag, then took out some sort of gloves that have technology built into it as everyone watches her put the gloves on. What exactly are you up to, Luthor? It's quite simple, Power Girl. My Void Juggernaut unit isn't the only thing I wanted to test out today. I'll explain while I make sure these control gloves are working properly before I activate it, and you see my Juggernaut Void unit is strong. At this rate, it's going to lose. I expect I would come across something like this, so I add a nice little feature to my android. With these babies, I could remotely control the Juggernaut unit. If I combined it with my quirk, it's very interesting results. I have a technonesis manipulation quirk. In simple terms, I can control any type of technology, either by sight or touch. It's a very unique power. It's not your flashy power you would see, but it has its own uses. Izumi activated the control gloves combined with her quirk a digital screen showed up right in front of her as she sees all the images from the point of view of the Void Juggernaut unit, as she has a smile on her face. Time to test this baby out. Let's give it a combat run. Izumi stepped backwards a little bit, so she have plenty of room to move her hands and feet. Won't be referring Izumi as the Juggernaut unit during this fight, so there won't be any confusion. Let's get back into the story. As the Juggernaut unit went into a slide, ducking underneath Doomsday's arm and fist. As the Juggernaut unit slid around Doomsday, when the Juggernaut unit stopped when he got in the back of Doomsday, and threw out a devastating kick at the back of the head Doomsday's back, making Doomsday go shooting forward into buildings. With this incredible speed, the Juggernaut unit caught up with Doomsday in mere seconds. As the robot slammed Doomsday's face into the ground, as the android run back to their destined original position, while dragging Doomsday's face into the ground while running, as the battle android picked up Doomsday, then repeatedly to smash him into the ground, making cracks underneath him from the pure force of being slammed into the pavement repeatedly. Without warning, the android jumped backwards, barely missing bones that shoot out of Doomsday, ready to pierce the robotic Juggernaut. Short pause. I'm giving him that ability, Doomsday that ability, over the countless times he's had to involve. Each time when the Justice League or someone else was trying to kill him, so... Sneaky little bastard. As Izumi is watching the bones retract back into Doomsday's body from her display screen that Izumi could only see. The clash continued with Doomsday and the Juggernaut in a grip struggle, one trying to overtake the other. Unfortunately, despite how advanced this Juggernaut android is, it still doesn't have the necessary power to match Doomsday. As Izumi noticed, her Juggernaut unit is slowly getting pushed back. So she did the most obvious thing before it got out of hand, as everyone sees the Juggernaut smash his head against Doomsday's face, then unleashing several combination strikes, leaving Doomsday dazed. Then the Juggernaut unit extend both the unit's hands out, charging some sort of energy from the wrist, underneath the wrist. Under the wrist where you see in the picture. Much like wrist blasters. Underneath the wrist, basically. As a ray of beam was unleashed, covering miles of the battleground. Doomsday simply tanked the attack as he reached out his arm towards the Juggernaut unit, then grabbed it by the face, then threw it around like a rag doll as it went through several vehicles. Doomsday walked towards the Juggernaut and slammed its foot into the android's stomach, then began to repeatedly smash his fist across the android's face. As the ground began to shake from the impact of physical force of each blow that Doomsday unleashed, Izumi calmly takes off her gloves and deactivated her quirk as the virtual screen disappeared, as you see her walk towards the rest of the Kryptonians, as she put her gloves in her bag and set the bag right next to Connor. I begin, as she stretched getting all the kinks out of her body. It's been a while since I actually done some physical fighting. Izumi begins to float in the air as she makes her way towards Doomsday, as she gently touch to the ground, as she calmly walks towards Doomsday, that is still punching her android repeatedly. As she tapped Doomsday on the shoulder, I would rather you not hurt my creation any further. If you want to fight, I can give that to you. As she smashed her fist into Doomsday's face, as he goes flying into several skyscrapers, getting, landing into a gas, a gas, I don't know what they're called. Gas truck, basically. The moment Doomsday made contact with the truck trailing around gas, it exploded when he stopped moving. Izumi simply activated her pocket dimension and threw her creation into it. Afterwards, closed her portal dimension. Part of her quirk. She doesn't quite understand how she's able to do that, but she doesn't question it. She put it in there for later, so she could repair it later on, and make some improvements that she saw needs to be improved upon. When Doomsday came running back in, swinging his fist towards Izumi, Izumi simply just dodge, then counterattack, landing her fist into the ribs of Doomsday. Then she plunged her elbow into his throat, then did a handstand kick, making Doomsday go flying up in the air, as Izumi is right above Doomsday. When she landed her hit, immediately jump in the middle of the air, then slam her foot into Doomsday on top of his skull, making him shooting downwards to the ground like a rocket. Izumi slowly floated down to the ground, landed gently, as she dusted the dust from her battle skirt. As a scientist, I can appreciate the marvel of your creation, but as a Kryptonian human, I find the very existence of your being revolting. You're nothing but abomination. But the human side of me does have some sort of pity for you, creature. Izumi just sat there, watch Doomsday get up to his feet, knocking the cobwebs out of his head, as she extend her hand out and wave her two fingers from Doomsday to herself in a just bring it gesture. Izumi allowed Doomsday to land a strike as Doomsday rammed his fist into Izumi's stomach. That actually hurt. Now it's my turn. As Izumi began to inhale a large amount of oxygen in her lungs, then she exhaled it as she unleashed her super breath as a gust of wind blow Doomsday back. As Doomsday began to skid across the ground from the wind, as he began skidding around like a rag doll, skidding across the ground. Izumi begins to walk towards Doomsday as she is between two cars, as she rammed both her fists in each of the cars, then ran towards Doomsday and slammed both cars between Doomsday's face. As she slammed, then immediately she slammed her foot into his chest, making him go flying backwards even further. Izumi simply dropped the cars as she walked calmly towards the bioweapon with a serious expression on her face, as she is completely ready for a brutal fight between herself and this bioweapon. When Doomsday got close enough to swing his fist towards Izumi, as she simply ram her fist into his outer oh, I forgot. Outer elbow. She landed a fist into Doomsday's outer elbow. She immediately slammed her foot in the back of the knee of Doomsday, making Doomsday kneel down on the ground as she grabbed his head and repeatedly slammed her knee into his face. Then Izumi began to repeatedly punch Doomsday in the face repeatedly. Doomsday tried to uppercut her. She just simply leaned backwards, dodging his fist, as she immediately switched her fighting stance ever so often, just in case Doomsday has some sort of intelligence. She's unsure if this thing's even alive. She's starting to suspect that this Doomsday is nothing but a killing machine. Izumi begins to single-handedly dismantle every attempt to land a strike on her by Doomsday. Izumi knows this Doomsday might be powerful, but he's nothing but a brute. No technique, no fighting style, no plan. This pure instinct. Naturally, she's easily able to predict what the mindless creature is going to do before you even do it. Surprising Clark, Kara, Connor, alongside with Aaron, and with the rest of the league, that were able to regain consciousness at this point. When Doomsday started to move a lot faster, by the shock of everyone, Jimmy would simply put a stop to his little burst of speed by blocking his attempt, or countering. Izumi immediately saw a opening in the fight as she unleashed her fist, as a small crater was formed underneath her fist, followed up with a huge pressure of wind when she landed her hit. As Doomsday was knocked backwards a couple steps from the pure force of her attack. This battle has been live in the entire time by the news helicopter in the air, and the reporters that are in the area with live camera capturing every moment of this battle by this 14-year-old girl. By this time, Doomsday is throwing his fist wildly at Izumi, as the young Kryptonian girl didn't notice did notice Doomsday was getting faster little by little bit. It got to the point where Doomsday was able to land hits off of Izumi, making her spit out blood when she separated herself from Doomsday to get some distance. Definitely not imagining it. He's getting faster. His strength is not increasing, but that doesn't really matter. His speed is getting a lot more better. This would be a wasted opportunity to test myself. It's not every day you could come across someone that can withstand my strength. It's time to get serious. Izumi disappeared and reappeared. When she reappeared, she slammed her elbow into Doomsday's stomach, then repeatedly reappeared right behind him, then slammed her foot into his back. When Doomsday was about to fly forward, Izumi appeared right in front of him, then slammed her fist into his face, making Doomsday hit the cement street hard. She punched him downwards, basically. Then she immediately kicked Doomsday upwards into the air. When he took flight, she used her... When she saw him fly up in the air, she took flight, then reappeared right in front of her, right in front of Doomsday, as she used her super breath to blast him back to the ground, as she flew downwards towards Doomsday. Then she rammed her knee into his stomach when she was about to when she was about ground level. Then she immediately hopped off of him. She knows by now, as long as you don't kill it, it won't have a chance to evolve. She's hoping that's the case. She's not totally sure yet. She probably could end it by heat vision, piercing through the skull. It will, but she's unsure if it will kill it permanently. She knows it will probably stop him for a good for a good amount of time. She doesn't know if this thing has any regeneration. She's still unsure on how this creature got out of the Phantom Zone in the first place, so she put that at the back of her mind for a later date. But she surprised herself that she's actually having fun with this Doomsday. She's never had a fight to this level before, so to say that she is very excited is a understatement. She's allowing herself to indulge in some of her base instinct to fight. She might be a scientist, but she's also a martial artist, and she takes great pride in her progress when it comes to martial arts. It took Izumi great effort to learn how to control her strength so she doesn't accidentally kill someone on accident for a simple spar. Izumi immediately got into a fighting stance when she saw Doomsday slowly getting up to his feet from the beatdown he just gave him. Izumi looked around and she saw a gas truck in the distance. As she activated her quirk to start up the truck. Luckily, it's one of the newer models where there's a lot of computer chips into it, so it was easy for her. It was a normal truck, only gas and no electronics outside of the engine. She wouldn't be able to, but she lucked out this time. She drove it towards the direction where she's at. When the truck finally arrived behind Doomsday, Doomsday rushed forward towards Izumi, only to get spin kicked across the face into into the gas tanker truck. Izumi immediately used her green heat vision to hit the truck as the truck explodes, making Doomsday shoot towards Izumi as she clotheslined him with her right arm, as she grabbed Doomsday by the neck and slowly to float up in the air. This has been fun and all, but this is about time I finish things up. Goodbye, Doomsday. It's been a pleasure. As she unleashed her green heat vision into the skull of Doomsday, leaving Doomsday brain dead as she drops the body to the ground, as Izumi floats down gently as she lands. Wow, remind me not to piss her off. That was brutal. And a bit scary. Can agree with you there. That's one scary girl. Izumi noticed Superman and Power Girl are heading towards her direction. I take it you need something, Superman? What exactly did you do to Doomsday? It's quite simple, Superman. I made him brain dead. I really don't know how to kill Doomsday permanently, so I figure making him brain dead would be the best course of action. Wouldn't you agree? You didn't have to go that far, though. Really? Well, clearly you haven't gone far enough. I don't know what this Phantom Zone is, but if this creature is able to escape it, it should be able to do it again. Before I intervene, Superman, you are losing. So I made the tough choice. I made the big decision. I made the tough decision. And I fixed the problem. I understand you have a code of honor morals you go by. That creature over there, it's not a person. It's a living weapon. only intelligence it has is its basic instincts. That you would see from a mindless animal. No attention to of explaining of my actions or ask for forgiveness. What you do with it, it's on you. It's no longer my concern. I only intervened myself into this situation because I didn't want my brother over there to end up dead. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna say bye to my brother. Then I'm immediately head home. Father's probably already aware of my actions here today. I expect I'll be getting a phone call from him sooner or later. As Izumi walks away from Superman was about to give chase, but Power Girl placed her hand on his shoulder. Just let it go, Clark. That girl wasn't wrong. Something had to be done about Doomsday. Maybe I'm letting my personal feelings affect my decision because of my personal history with her father and my distrust of all Luthors. I might not like how she did it. In the end of the day, she was very precise. That girl's good. A Kryptonian that's been trained in martial arts and intelligence. That's a deadly combination. If she ever become a threat, she would be extremely dangerous. What? Starting to sound like Bruce. Shut up. I'm surprised you're not agreeing with me. Don't get me wrong, Karin. On my distrust. Sorry. Don't get me wrong, Karin. My distrust of her is not her personally. It's the fact that she's the Luthor. But I could tell she's not a horrible person. We still don't know. We still don't know. Sorry. We still don't know of her origins. Well, we could always have a little. Oh, sorry. Well, I guess we're going to have a little chat with little Lex in the near future. Damn, little sis. You're a very vicious fighter. Makes sense you're a badass. You're my sister, after all. I was a bit. I was a bit surprised myself that I still have the fighting spirit. I'm more of a thinker than a actor. Be more. Sorry, I'm more of a thinker than more of a brute. But it's nice to cut loose sometimes. Phone, please. Why? As he raised his eyebrow, looking at his sister suspiciously. Give me your phone, idiot. It's not like I'm going to plot your demise or anything. Jesus. I feel the love. Connor finally handed over his phone as he watched his sister program her name and number into his contact list. As she handed back his phone, give me a ring when you want to hang out. We can have one of those brother and sister bonding times I hear or see on the television all the time. Well, I'll catch you later. As she immediately flew off to LexCorp and went to her room that she had built in LexCorp when she can't leave the building. She threw her phone on the charger, then passed out. Not used to using so much of her power all at once. It's not like she. Sorry. She got a bit carried away from the fight. She tired herself out. She still had plenty of fight in her if the fight needed to go longer, but but she got tired from not fighting for a while. So the moment her head touched her pillow, she was out like a light. The next day, it didn't take Izumi very long to get a phone call from her father. Izumi was quite surprised by her father's reaction, by the sound of his voice. It sounded like he was quite proud of her. So she had a smile on her face. The the whole day. She was quite happy by the talk with her father. Saw the footage on the television, basically. Despite her father is going to be on his business trip for several months, She needs to figure out what she's going to do with her spare time. I could always pick up a hobby in my spare time. Now, what type of hobby would I be good at? I mean, naturally, I'm pretty much good at everything, so I should just pick a random thing. While Izumi was searching on the internet for hobbies to take to spend her free time when she's not in the lab, as her phone went off, she placed the receiver over her ear, hearing her brother speak. As they spoke for several hours before Connor had to leave or hang up the phone because he has some sort of business with the young superhero team known as the Young Justice. She got some information about that. Before he hanged up, he promised Izumi that they would hang out real soon. He's just a tad bit busy with his team after yesterday's events. Izumi knew Izumi knew by exposing herself in that manner, several members of the league would start asking questions. Izumi knew it was always a possibility, but at the end of the day, it does she doesn't really care if people find out that she's Kryptonian and find out that her Kryptonian blood comes from Power Girl. Their opinion doesn't matter to her one bit. Their Ultimately their opinion doesn't matter. But she's not going to be outright hostile towards them. She'll leave that to her father. She doesn't have a vendetta against the League, nor does she have one against Superman. She might be a Luther, but she's not. But she has more better things to concentrate on than to obsess over a superhero team. She'll leave that to her father. Her father will not admit it, but the Justice League serve a purpose. Because she doesn't have a vendetta against the League, she can see how useful they are. Izumi is sitting on her father's desk. The office is pitch black except for the light that's on the desk. As she got up from the desk and and looked around, I know who you are, but you got some skill to get into the building without being noticed. I suggest you come out of the shadows, before I force you out. As several kryptonite arrow-tipped arrows shoot out of the darkness, heading towards Izumi, as she simply catches the arrows in midair. The intruder watched the green arrows slowly fade out, like she sucked out the kryptonite. As Izumi calmly walked to the desk and sat down and placed the arrows on the desk, gently. Kryptonite arrows, tips. Well, aren't you a bloodthirsty type? Why don't you come out and have a little chat with me? I prefer things not to get violent. I don't want to ruin my dad's office. As a woman with a purple costume comes out of the shadows, as Helena was quite surprised that the Kryptonian arrows did not work. She wasn't going to kill the girl, she just wanted to test her out. The huntress stepped out and sat on the chair right in front of the desk as she crosses her legs as she sat down. To say Huntress was surprised and impressed was a understatement. She was only aiming her arrows to nip the cheeks of the girl, but she didn't intend for the girl to catch the arrows in midair, then somehow absorb the kryptonite. To say for such a young girl, you got some skill, and you continuously to impress me. Yesterday's events was interesting. taking down Doomsday so precisely. That's quite impressive for someone of your age. Judging from your getup you have on, you must be from the League. So, who sent you to me? This doesn't seem like the type of thing that Superman would do. Maybe that Batman guy, but hard to say. Alright, Superman would never do such a thing. My father, Batman, he would have gone himself, but he's a bit busy, so I took upon myself to do it for him. I have no doubt my father would have came to my place. If my father would came to my place, came instead of me, it probably would have ended up in the fight. My father has that effect on people. He's very stubborn. Despite that, I'm also here on my own agenda. This just gave me an excuse to visit you. Have this sort of conversation. If we're going to have this sort of conversation, let's change. Let's change locations for a more comfortable setting. Please follow me, Miss Huntress. Huntress followed the young Luthor out of the office and down the hall in some sort of room that was made into a lounge area. It's a large room with couches, with a large fountain. The sounds of the water gives a relaxing atmosphere, alongside with the incense burning, as Izumi made some tea for herself and for her guests, as they both sat down on a large table. Before we start, I want to make this obvious clear, so we can get the unpleasant conversation done with. Yes, I'm a Luthor. I do not have no intentions of harming any of you or any members of your little league. That's my father's deal. I don't have a vendetta against the League or Superman. I know my father is known for kind of a bad guy. Doesn't change the fact that he's my father and he will always have my loyalty. The sinking feeling you probably want to know how I was created. Not even I know that. He's not keeping it from me. I just never really found the urge to find out myself. I have more important things to do than to worry about such things. My intelligence is far more superior than my father's. Very well. I'll inform my father on what information I got. Doesn't really mean it doesn't really mean he's going to stop trying. He really hates mysteries. That really doesn't matter to me. He could do whatever he wants. He could go digging around. I really don't care. As long as it doesn't affect me. You could do what you He can do what he wants. It's not like we're hiding something. Well, probably my father is, but I really don't care. I know your little league knows my father has attempted to clone Superman on several occasions. I'm no clone huntress. I'm something more superior. It is true I have Kryptonian DNA. Kryptonian DNA was a major factor in my creation. And yes, I do know who my Kryptonian parent is. But I have no interest in revealing that sort of information. You're going to have to find out on your own. I'm a busy girl. So let's get down to the real matter of business. Why you pay me a visit tonight. With pleasure, Miss Luthor. That won't do at all. Just call me Izumi. Very well, Izumi. You're very well known when it comes to technology. I am one of the members of the League that are in charge of Young Justice and the Teen Titans. I want to commission uh, a job for you for training purposes, and of course, I'm fully prepared to pay for your services. Interesting, a custom order. I haven't done one of those in a while. Alright, give me a list of things you're looking for. I could easily build a couple training androids, but I have a feeling you want something more concrete than that. Indeed, I would like some sort of holographic training device that's solid, able to have a realistic training scenario. Fascinating idea. Solid holograms for training purposes. As the gears are already churning into Izumi's brain, as she wrote down her personal phone number and handed over to 200, this is my personal number. I could definitely help you. I'll just have to do some research. What time frame do you want this done? It would be ideal in the next 4 years or 5 years, at the longest. I highly doubt it will take me. Oh, sorry. I highly doubt it. It will take me that long to come up with something. I'll give you a monthly update on my progress. You, I wasn't sure how this was. I wasn't sorry. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. Oh, it's not every day you get an arrow shot at you. It made my day a lot more lively. But I'm surprised you came to me, a Luthor. True, you are Luthor, but because of your reputation, I trust you will fulfill the end of your bargain and not try to double cross us in any way. With nothing to worry about, Huntress. I have no intention of backstabbing you. It would ruin my reputation. When I get a order for a commission work, I get it done. After all, I'm a professional. I'll see my way out. I've already informed the guards so they won't get in your way when you try to leave. Feel free to use the door. Do that. Thanks again, Izumi. It was very nice to meet you. I can see you're not the same. I can see you're not the same as your father. You have some similarities, but you're genuinely a good person. I could see that. Of course, I might be a Luthor, but I'm not evil. As Izumi said goodbye to Huntress, as Izumi watches the Huntress leave the room, the moment she left the room, she immediately made her way back to her personal lab. She immediately started making ideas for this holographic training device. For the next 2 weeks, she created several different types of holographic training devices, but different different styles or different inventions, basically. The first two attempts were small devices, but she wasn't happy with it, so she scratched it off. And she used another idea, and she created several ideas over these weeks into reality. She decided on a design for a virtual reality device to activate during training, making the area into a holographic room, so it prevents any damage from the actual room when the device is placed in. It is definitely advanced technology to to a whole new level that hasn't been done yet. It's definitely doable for Izumi at least. Anyone else, it would be impossible. She's just trying to figure out how to downsize the invention. Right now, it's way too big. She wanted to implement several safety measures just in case these holograms could actually hurt a person. She needs to make sure there are some safety precautions in case things don't go as planned. Let's take a break and clear my head. Luckily for me, I got the kinks out of my teleporter. As she put a device over her wrist, it's some sort of mechanical bracelet with technology built into it. She pressed the button on her wrist, on her bracelet, as a portal opened up in front of her. As she steps out of it, she She found herself on top of a building, looking down upon the civilians going about their day. Suddenly, Izumi's mind was invaded. She couldn't pinpoint the person trying to penetrate her mind, but she could tell it's not on Earth. Whoever this is extremely powerful. As her scenery changed, she found herself in a different surrounding of a burning world. As she sees several creatures flying in the air, there's not a single piece of nature on the world. She gazed at the sea of lava surrounding her, as she's on a small plat of land, as a red-skinned demon with horns emerged from the sea of lava, with white hair, with his four eyes glowing brightly. Trigon hovered over the Kryptonian girl. He chose to approach her in his giant-sized form for intimidation purposes. As he stares down upon the young Luthor, Trigon has always, always had an interest in Lex, and when he found out he had a daughter, a Kryptonian daughter nonetheless, he couldn't help but reveal himself and introduce himself. Trigon has finally begun his plans to conquer Earth again after the many attempts trying to enter the realm of Earth, only to be challenged and stopped by his very own daughter. Every time he tried, he would lose, and he's not happy about that one bit. He decided after the last attempt that failed, he needs to go back to the drawing board. Luckily for him, he found the perfect opportunity to finally enter the realm, to conquer Earth finally. And the daughter of Luthor is the very important piece missing in his plan. You must be the one who invaded my mind. So what the hell do you want? As Trigon cackles, you're definitely a Luthor. Straight to business. Allow me to properly introduce myself to you, mortal. I am Trigon. You, my dear, are a very important key to me entering the realm of Earth, so I can finally conquer it, then destroy it. Oh great, he's monologuing. Lovely. Big, ugly, and red. I might not know who you are. Trigon, was it? Or what you are. But I know when I see bad news, so I will be decline your little offer. Thanks, but no thanks. Seem to be a misunderstanding, mortal girl. Who said you had to say in this? You don't. As a mark of Trigon burns Izumi's skin, as marks of Trigon skip Brandon on her back, neck, alongside with her wrists and ankles. As Izumi screams out in pain, being branded by the demon known as Trigon, as she was thrust back, as their connection was cut, as Izumi collapsed to the ground screaming, still, well, screaming from being branded, as the marks are forming on her body, as her skin is being felt like they're on fire. She's never felt so much pain in her life. She's still trying to figure out how this Trigon managed to hurt her and brand her of all things. That shouldn't be possible. She didn't she didn't seem to realize that the brands are magical in nature. She's had no experience in magic. She has a weakness to magic, like all Kryptonians. Despite all the pain she's going through, she has a pissed off expression on her face. Like this, Trigon had the goal to brand her and talk down to her like an insect, inferior to her to no end. Of the branding, she will always have a connection towards Trigon. as Trigon could enter her mind at any moment to mentally torment her at his leisure. Trigon can make her submit to his will. He has enough power to send several of his children to Earth. He's holding off until all of the pieces on the board are all in their positions. As I'm having a hard time speaking today, I do apologize for that. I'm being a little bit tongue-tied today, at least. I don't know why. Oh well. Let's get right back into this. Zumi barely had enough energy to touch the button on her bracelet, activating her portal. As she made her way slowly to the portal, as she's still in extremely amount of she's still in a extreme amount of pain. She made her way into the portal. 3 weeks has passed. She continued her work with the holographic training device. Meanwhile, every night, Trigon would give Izumi most horrific nightmares every night. Say the nightmares that hasn't affected her is a understatement. She's very on edge, easily snap at people at her current state of mind. That's why she barricaded herself in the lab, working on any work that needs to be done, anything to get her mind off of the nightmares in the branding by that bastard Trigon. To say she disliked the creature doesn't even cover it. She outright despised the demon. But she hasn't been able to find any solid information on Trigon of his existence outside of a couple mentions online. Outside of the random cults that worship the demon, there's only one villain that Izumi knows of that openly worships Trigon, and that would be Brother Blood. She most likely going to have to beat some information out of him and get some answers. Unfortunately, she doesn't know anything about Raven, so she would have went to her first if she knew of her existence as Trigon's daughter. But alas, what information she has access as Brother Blood is her best source of information. As we cut few days, as you see Izumi on top of a building, surrounded by several of her void stealth units. Surrounded by several models of her stealth unit. Izumi is staring towards the direction of Hive Academy in the distance. Izumi lifted up some sort of weaponry, some sort of firearm. Almost looked like a rocket launcher. She put it over her shoulder and pressed the trigger as a burst of energy shot out towards Hive Academy. When it made contact with the building, a high-dense EMP wave went off as the whole academy went dark, as all the electronics into the academy itself was exposed, was completely useless. You have your orders. You know what to do. Attack. As all of the stealth void units jump off the building and head towards Hive Academy. Mark my words, Trigon. You will pay for what you did to me. I won't stop until I utterly destroy you, bastard demon. No one fucks with the Luthor and gets away with it. Marks my words. Your days are numbered. You can try, little mortal. I find your resistance entertaining. Since her nightmares started, somehow she was able to talk to Trigon mentally, like they're connected somehow. She's unsure it's actually him, or it's just a figment of her imagination, or she's just plain out going crazy. Indeed, truly intrigued how this encounter will fan out for you, girl. I haven't had so much entertainment in mere eons. As Trigon begins to laugh, as the laughter of Trigon begins to fade away until there was pure silence, as that's where we're going to cut our story off. Hope you guys have a good night and day, judging my time zones, and I'll catch you in the next video.